Often when doing gel prints, I use a lot of tools like stencils, texture plates, maybe some foam stamps. So today I thought I would keep it simple and use only paints and a paintbrush. Well, more than one paintbrush. I have a few different sizes and a more thin rounded brush. And we're going to take the paint and do some mark making on our gel plate with the paintbrushes. So I put some paint in a palette here that I'm going to have off to the side. And using the paintbrushes, I'm just going to make some marks on my gel plate. And keep in mind when doing this, whatever you put down first is what's going to be on the very front of your gel print. So what you really want to see in the very front, you want to make that mark first. So I'm going to do some small X's. And I do find when doing this, you want to try and just do it once, because if you go over the lines again, you tend to wipe off the paint. So then you're constantly trying to get it back on there, and then you end up with a mark way bigger than you had intended to make. And there is another tool I'm actually going to use as well, and I'm not sure what it's called, but it has these two rubber ends. One is, well, it comes to a point, and this one is more beveled and it has a straight edge. And it's rubber, so it's not going to damage the plate. Like, you can poke it and it's not going to do anything harmful to your gel plate. So I'm going to use the tip, the pointed tip end. I'm just going to lightly dip it in the paint just so I'm getting some on the tip. I'm just going to make some dots. And the further you go down, the bigger a dot is. So if you want little tiny dots, then just like lightly tap your gel plate. Now using the other end, I'm going to grab some of the fluorescent red. I'm going to get some along the edge. I'm going to make just little dash lines. Okay, now I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm going to try drawing some circles. And again, try not to go over it a second time because you tend to remove paint. And if your previous layer has dried, you can just paint right over it and it won't harm it. It won't move the paint. Now I'm going to take our wider brush, squeeze out the water, so we don't want it wet, because then our paint will just bead up. And I'm going to grab some aqua, and I'm just going to draw some lines. Don't want it too thick. There we go. And I know I told you not to go over the lines again, but with these I'm trying to get them not too thick, so that's why I'm running over it again. And that one wasn't quite dry, but it'll probably look really pretty. Now we're going to let all this dry before we move on. Okay, before pulling the print, I do want to add a little more color because I tried this only once before and I find it a little too plain. So I think I would like patches of color. So what I'm thinking is I'll take some of this extra paint that's left on here and I'm going to put it off to the side on my 5x7 gel plate that I have over here, and I'm just going to get some on my brayer, and I'm going to choose places that that color is not there. So like here there's no fluorescent red, so I'm going to add a patch of it there, and maybe up in this corner, and maybe a little bit down here. Then I'm going to take the yellow. I may need to get more from the tube. And put some here. Now the teal, there's a lot of, or I should say aqua, there's a lot of aqua already on here with the big lines. So I think I'm going to pull in one more color. And I think I'll go with this light green. So I'm just going to squeeze some out onto my gel plate. just add little bits here and there. Okay, now I'm going to wait for that to dry, and then we will pull the print. Okay, it's time to try pulling the print. Whoa. There's some dried paint in the tip and it came out a little funny. I can tell I have too much. So just pull slowly and have a look as you're pulling. And if you see stuff sticking to the plate, then put it back down and give it another rub. There's an area here, but I don't think it's going to come off. Nope. Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. So we have, kind of has an 80s vibe. With the neon colors or the like bit of geometric shapes and mark making. But you can see like not everything came up. Like some of the X's are missing because that one stuck to the plate right there. And then that one stuck there. So as I was saying, when you make the marks, if they're too thick, because even this one here, I could pull that off easily if I wanted. Because where it's thicker, it just doesn't want to cling to the paper as nicely and stay. And when you do pull it, sometimes it bubbles a little. So it's like it'll come off, but sometimes you may just have to like lay it down. But we got most of everything. These dots, you can actually feel them. It actually has texture where we used a tool instead of paint and stencil. You can feel the dashes and the dots, they're raised. So it's very cool. So that is our print, and in part 2 I will show you what we're going to do with it.